Hey there. You want a couple more examples on making major and minor scales? Well, here's the place for it. We got a couple more examples coming your way. Try them out, work with me. You'll see some stuff cross-referenced on the guitar. Always a good practice just to kind of learn it on both instruments. But feel free to go off the grid a little bit from this video. Try a D major scale, try a D minor scale. You're gonna get this stuff if you're taking the time to work it out. So have fun, enjoy. Here's a couple more examples for you to reinforce. Let's do a G major scale. What I'll do is I'll map it out here. I'll put everything down on paper. Then I'm gonna go to an instrument. I'm gonna show you how this looks on guitar and how this looks with piano. So I'm gonna start at G. There's my root. All right, so there's no letter after G in the musical alphabet. So I'm gonna go back to A. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I know in my major scale, what I have to have is I have to have half steps between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. So I'm gonna put that in before I get started looking at anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a half step. And then between 7 and 8, 8's the root here, that higher octave. So there's 7 and 8. Now I'm ready to do my work. So let's see if it checks out. Actually, geez, if you're feeling real frisky, go ahead and pause the video. You try this one, kids. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out and sort through this. Where do we put the sharps and flats and make sure everything we have on paper? Little clue is unless you're doing A minor or C major, you will have to add accidentals. A minor and C major are the only keys in the musical world, at least in the ones that most people are using, that do not have accidentals. They don't have sharps or flats. Everything else does. So you need to be kind of familiar on how to put that in. I'm going to figure this out on guitar. Here's a half step. In there. That's a half step. Skipping up, skipping over a fret would be considered a whole step. So half step, whole step. So let's see if we got that. We got G is our 1. We need a whole step between G and A. Do we have a whole step? Is that a whole step? If you said yes, you're absolutely correct. So that's a whole step. That works. Now let's look at the next one. A to B. So G to A. And then we have A to B. A to B. Is that a whole step? Did I skip over a fret? Yes, I did. So that's a whole step. That works. So G to A and A to B. That works. All checks out so far. This is where it gets spicy. From B to C, we have a half step that we need. Let's see. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. What about B to C? There's no B sharp, so the next one up, that's C right here. Is that a whole step or a half step? If you're hearing the Jaws theme song, you should be saying half step. That's a half step. So is what we have on paper good so far? Yeah. G, whole step, whole step. There's that little half step between here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we have it. We're good. We're checking in. Now between 4 and 5, we have a whole step. Here's C. That's a whole step. Great. All right, let's keep it going. So from D to E, let's check it. D to E, D to E. That's a whole step, so that works. D to E works. So far, so good. Haven't had to change anything. Isn't our life easy? E to F. E to F. What we need, our recipe says that has to be a whole step. Well, here's E. Right here, where the double things are. Right there. There's no E sharp. So the next one up, E. If we don't have E sharp, we have F. Hear the Jaws theme song? That's a half step. What we have on a paper so far does not work. This E to F right here is a half step. So we have to change something. So let's change it. Let's keep, the E works compared to D. So you want to change the F. We need a whole step. The next one up is F. That's a half step. That's a whole step. So when I change it from an E to an F sharp, we have a whole step and everything's gravy, and we love that. Now let's check the very last one from F sharp to G. Well, if you've been following along, I'm hoping that you say, well, that's a very little space, F sharp to G. That looks just like this. F sharp, G. That's a half step. So what we have here works. Let's check it out on the. I want to start on G. Let's find a G, shall we? Again, I'm looking at the start of the cycle here, the start of the pattern. 2, 3, 2, 3. That's C. That's C. Right before the start, this would be, in my opinion, that's the first key to look for. That's G. G. Okay, so I want G to A. Because I need a whole step. That works. G to A works. A to B. I need a whole step. That works. Do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Then I need B to C. I need a half step between my third and my fourth. That works. Then we have C to D. That works. D to E. Need a whole step here. That works. E to F. Pretend that's not there. E to F. E to F. That sounds like the Jaws theme song. This would be a half step. That's why we had to raise it up to F sharp, because we need a whole step between E and F. And then I need a half step between F sharp and G. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Kind of a nice scale. There's only one black key involved. It's that F sharp, because in the key of G major, there is only one sharp. We'll get into that in another video. Yay! All right, so what we're going to do next to close things out here is we're going to do the B minor scale. And as we did before, I'll show you how to navigate and work out that scale on the piano and on the guitar in this example. But what I'd like you to do first is I'd like you to try this one all on your own. Write it out the way you think you need to. Half step between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. So go ahead, pause this up, give it a shot, and we'll be back in a second. All right, hopefully that went swimmingly for you and you know exactly what you're doing. But if not, here's a little review. So I'm going to go from B to B, and I'm just going to list the letters going up from B. So we have B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now let's put our half steps in. That's step 2. So half steps go between 2 and 3. Well, here's my root in 1. Here's my root in 8. That's the octave. And here's 2 and 3. So I have a half step here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, half step between 5 and 6. We have 7 and 8. Great. So now let's go through and let's see if we could figure this out. All right, so step 1 is I have to locate where B is. I want B. I know this is C. B comes before C. That's no problem. There's B. So let's check it out. We need a whole step between B and C. Do we have that? That's sounding like Jaws to me, indicating that we do not have a whole step here, because from B to C is a half step. We need a whole step. So what we have to do is, we're not changing the B in B minor, because B's got to be in there. But we could change that C. There's our whole step. So what I did is I took, what note would that be? That would be C sharp. So I'm putting in my accidental. Okay. So we have B to C sharp and then D. We need a half step between C sharp and D. Do we have it? I hear Jaws. We have it. So we have B, C, D. Again, that's very different than do, re, mi, right? That's kind of spooky. Here's do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Now we need a whole step from D to E. There's that half step. We have the whole step from D to E. What about E to F? Do we have a whole step or a half step here? Well, if you've been following along, you should say, oh, hold on, there's no E sharp. So that's gotta be a half step. You could hear that on Jaws. So I need to change, this E works, so I'm not changing that. I'm gonna look forward and change that F. I need a whole step between E and that next one up. That's our half step, E to F. So I'm gonna go E to F sharp. Do we have a half step between F sharp and G? Absolutely. So next one up, F sharp, G. Okay, do we have a whole step between G and A? Yes, we do. And then A to B? Yes, we do. So now let's play the whole scale. B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. Ooh, sounds creepy. Let's check it out on guitar just to really bring the point home, and then we're done. All right, take two. Here we go. We're going to go through B minor. Again, we've already done the work putting the sharps in, so we're just kind of double checking and bringing the point home. So we're going to start on B. I'm going to do this all on low E string. 7th fret, low E string is B. That's B. So here's B. Wants a whole step between B and C sharp. We're skipping over a fret. We have the whole step, or the whole tone. Then we go from C sharp to D. They want a half step there. Going up one fret. That's a half step. There's my beautiful wife in the background. All right, so here's E. Is that a whole step? We need a whole step here from D to E. We have a whole step there. Then we have E to F sharp. That needs to be a whole step. Here's E. That's a whole step. I'm skipping over a fret, whole step. So that works. Okay, now let's go. We need a half step between the F sharp and G. Okay. And then we need a whole step to A. I think you get it. Here's A. Way up here. That's that B up an octave on the same string. So I hope this has been kind of helpful for you guys. What we'll do in the next little instructional video is we'll break down how to make chords. Again, this stuff will help you understand the chords. Chords come from intervals inside of a scale. If you can do this stuff and just have a basic understanding of what a 1, 3, and a 5 is and what that means, and it's not a different language to you, and you have some experience, and again, learning through osmosis is not going to give you the experience. Just trying a couple of these examples, keep them simple. This will open doors. So please try it out. See you soon.